COVID-19 has you down, or you need some more cleanliness in your life, please check out our proud sponsor Psycho Soaps at their Etsy site, www.etsy.com/shop/psychosoaps. I repeat, www.etsy.com/shop/psychosoaps. Horror-themed soaps, anything you need over there, from crazy to cute, anything you absolutely need.
Children of the night, what music they make.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Here's Johnny. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yes, you just put the gun to your forehead and pull the trigger.
You left the planet and you only moved the headstone! You only moved the headstone!
All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm Reggae Mortis,
And I'm Boris Lagosa.
and you're listening to With the Dead of the Night podcast. Listen, guys, we're getting ready to cover a heavy hitter. We're covering Ari Aster's Midsommar. Go ahead and get the facts, Boris.
Midsommar, as pronounced by Ari Aster, directed by Ari Aster, the great, my favorite director at this time. This movie
sure.
pulled in a budget, pulled in box of $27,426,361 on a $9,000 budget, so it tripled what it.
Oh my
what it
God.
paid. Major box office success here for A24 Productions. This movie stars Florence Pugh as Danny, Jack Rayner as Christian, Wilhelm Blomgren as Pelly, and William Jackson Harper as Josh. And it's Pell, I apologize for that. First of all, I'm going to go give you the rundown on what this film is and then we're going to get into some three main acts here that me and Rig are going to discuss. First of all, Midsommar takes place with Danny and her boyfriend Christian and his friends going to a trip in Sweden where they come across a pagan cult in Sweden. First of all, Rig, what I want to discuss first, this first fucking 7 minutes of this film.
Oh my God, man. It is so heavy because, I mean, you're talking, we covered Hereditary already, but like the whole, it's every movie he does, there's a scene of death and loss where he covers I'm not sure if I've ever been witness to a phone call. When you get that phone call and all you can hear is just that screaming and sobbing the other line.
And Florence Pugh portrayed that.
Oh my God.
That was great.
And like her whole panic attacks and everything, oh my God, she killed it. It is so brutal and so real. He was listening, I think a lot of people I think he's just listening, go to that spot that makes you feel really uncomfortable. I want you to think and make this feel real. And I think I think it's kind of it's the shit is so heavy though when so
you have a double murder.
Yeah.
Suicide.
So to break it down, you have this Danny's character. She has really bad anxiety and real bad panic attacks, and she has a sister who's constantly begging for attention, always doing some kind of drastic shit. So to the boyfriend, he's so used to dealing with it.
He's like a gaslighter.
Yeah, he's just like, okay, listen, she's obviously begging for attention, so he's not alarmed by her message. And the whole beginning of the movie, you see this whole intro to camera panning through the house, and she's calling her parents' house. So listen, so and so, what's her sister's name?
Terry.
Terry left me this crazy email. It scared me. Just make sure she's okay and you guys are okay. Just get back to me when you can. And you guys are probably sleeping. And it shows the family sleeping.
This was after the email she received from Terry saying, "I'm over at Mom and Dad's. Things are gonna go black."
Yeah, everything's black. I'm leaving, and Mom and Dad are coming with me. I think that's what the message was. So it's so crazy because I'm really good at picking up on that kind of shit, but I was so blindsided by it because what I was focusing on, because when the beginning of the movie shows, it's going panning through the house, there's pictures,
right.
And there's and it literally shows it's like a timeline, like a painted,
it's almost like a preview of what's
Yeah, exactly. It's it's almost like a picture book.
foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing of everything. It's this picture book that kind of goes through, and it literally shows the entire movie.
You're talking about the poster.
Yeah,
with the skull and the sun.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then of course, like when you're going through, when it goes to the house, there's pictures on the walls. Like there's even in her room. There's later on a few minutes.
Picture.
Yeah, there's all different things of like there's always little different symbols of what's going to happen. You almost like see what's going to happen ahead of time. But anyway, so of course the camera pans through, shows the parents you think are sleeping. So she calls the boyfriend. You find out in a few minutes of this. The boyfriend. He's like
that this relationship
is so toxic, and like she has like all her mental health issues. And he's such a pussy and a pushover that he's not going to break it down. He's doing the bullshit game of let me be
that guy to hold her.
Yeah. Let me be that guy that's he's like, listen, like I'll just be like so detached that hopefully she gets tired of me and leaves because I'm too much of a pussy to break up with her.
Because Will Poulter, who plays Mark, and all those guys that are with him at the restaurant, they're all telling him to break up with her. They're all telling him to.
Yeah. So. She tells him like so when they're all listening, like you gotta leave her, man, and of course she's like, listen, like your sister's asking for attention, and there's like this transition. There's so many good transitions from that movie, like
when she calls him.
Yeah, when she's like it's like she's like while she's talking to him, or when she's like talking on the phone with him, like, oh listen, I'm gonna come see you, like she hasn't got back to me, I'm getting really worried, and of course she leaves like another message and stuff, and then you see a unknown caller comes on her phone, and then the transition goes right to the boyfriend. At the restaurant. The boyfriend at the restaurant, and then they're all talking. They're like, listen, man, you gotta break up with your girlfriend. Did you even tell her you're going to Sweden? Oh, I'm going to. And he's like, he's trying to avoid like everything he's trying to avoid.
Correct.
He's trying to avoid being her boyfriend, really. But he's trying to avoid everything. This movie, really, in a nutshell, is like this bad breakup. Is a connection.
It's like a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor for that, But, of course, the phone rings. It's like, is it her again? Really, guys? Is it her? Is it really, man? Is it her again? It's like, let me get the phone. It's like, oh my god. It answers the phone, and you just hear blood-curdling scream.
Moans.
And it's just like moaning, like you can just see it. Like,
you killed it.
Oh yeah, in more ways than one, man. And she like, I've heard that phone call before, and like just be like, oh my, like I was like, oh man, someone's gone. Their sister's dead. That's our first. And while she's crying, it's kind of goes into like this whole. It's like transitions into like you see firefighters. And they're like pulling like the gas line.
And there's no
like,
dialogue during.
No dialogue. It's just music playing. It's like almost like it's like music, but it's almost like when you have like a silent scream.
It's like a violin.
Yeah. It's like a very light violin, but it always reminds me of like the silent scream type thing, where
Correct.
it's like it's the camera's panning through. You see firefighters in the garage, and you see gas.
Oh my god! When you see that hose,
and you
oh my god!
They come up the steps, and you realize, oh my god. I first I'm like, okay, the sister gassed herself in her car. She committed suicide. But now I'm like, no, there's a hose. Holy fuck, what's this hose leading to? It goes up the stairs, down the hall, into the parents' room. It shows them, like you see the parents sitting there, and all of a sudden you see the parents in the body bag getting zipped up. I'm like, holy shit, she killed the parents. Then it goes down the hallway, into the office where her sister is sitting there. She has the hose, the end of the hose, which is different. The last piece of the hose is connected to her face and duct taped on, and her eyes are so fucked up looking, and she has puke that's pouring out of the sides of it, and she's dead. And above her, it goes up and it shows the 4 mixed messages from Danny, and that's how this movie starts off. And then
yeah,
I just got chills talking about that.
Well. Like we said with Hereditary, Ari Aster, ladies and gentlemen, this is only his second film.
Yeah.
And like this movie came out almost a year ago, and I remember seeing it in theaters with you.
Yeah.
And a couple of our other buddies, and this movie's still in my head. And I've seen it 3 times already, I'm not gonna lie. Great movie. I'm a big fan of the director. Moving on though, we get to this scene where Pell and Josh and all them are hanging out at his apartment. And this is some time later where Florence Pugh's like laying around depressed after what had occurred. She goes to them to their house, and Christian finally, invites her to go to Sweden.
Yeah.
You get this kind of funny part where they're like, you guys are okay with me inviting her, right? Like kind of like this back and forth dialogue.
Yeah. They didn't want her to come at all.
Yeah, but
But,
they were trying to. They were trying to gas. They're all gaslighters.
Yeah.
They're all like.
Yeah, his whole how he was going to handle it was completely give in and feel like, oh, well, if I offer it, oh, she's not gonna come, guys, she's not gonna come.
Yeah,
When she
came,
probably
so
100% agreed.
The jig is up.
Yeah.
She came.
He's putting this whole like fake persona, like, she's listen, guys,
And
like, she won't come,
Right,
guys.
right. And you get a first taste of her struggles with, because this movie is basis for mental illness as well. You see her struggles when Pell tries to talk to her
Yeah,
about what had happened, and she immediately tries to get up and escapes the situation. So moving on, we get to them getting ready for their trip, and like you said earlier, you had mentioned transitions.
yeah, that scene from the bathroom.
From the bathroom, the airline.
Yeah. When she shows her, I didn't even pick up on it. It's like because she has a hoodie on, you know,
Right.
and then like so you have this whole scene, and they come into the thing like, oh, like, I guess they're all like, oh, you're Danny, you're going to come along to Sweden now, huh?
It was
Cool.
just a very awkward.
And it's just
scene.
like it's really, and of course, what's his face? What's the buddy's name? Mark. Mark's like, hey man, let me check out this paragraph, and tells him to come into the room.
I think that was like a talk to.
Oh yeah, that was
come
for
to
sure.
Jesus type
Yeah,
talk.
that was like
Yeah.
what the fuck are you thinking, man? Like, why would you do this? Like,
Will Poulter. You remember him from We're the Millers?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's funny seeing him in that play. He was hilarious in this movie. But like and then of course he sits down, and to me immediately I had a weird vibe from
Pell.
Yeah, for sure. But his dad's like, listen, like, I'm so happy you're going to be here, and he kind of explains a little bit what's going on. And then he's like, I'm so sorry about your parents, like, and then you see her like kind of like, oh,
I'm escaping the situation.
Yeah, you can see where she's going to have her panic attack. And
Mhm.
she does this throughout the movie where she can't breathe at all. She has to run out, and she does this whole thing where she's like, oh, like
She should have been, in all honesty here, interjecting here real quick. Hereditary and Midsommar both got snubbed as far as the leading actress. Toni Collette in Hereditary, Florence Pugh in Midsommar, excuse me, should have been nominated for at least an Oscar for their acting.
For sure, man. Oh my, like, yeah. You talk just to go back to Toni Collette, like, how, oh my god, like, I heard someone told me, I can't remember if it was you or someone told me she like actually had like a hard time dealing with that afterwards, like almost like had to go to therapy after she did that part. The movie,
Yes,
yeah.
Toni Collette, yes.
Because she got,
I told you that.
you have to, like you have
Method
to,
acting, man.
yeah, exactly. And
I mean, it's like a Daniel Day-Lewis type thing. You know?
And you get lost if you have to go that like, those movies like that, like I said, like it's true horror, man. It's 100% true horror. When you have that. When you leave, like, I'm not really going all to the end, but after I left this movie, I thought about this movie. This movie sits with you. Hereditary sat with you. I remember feeling uncomfortable leaving there.
Right.
Like I'm like, holy fuck!
Yeah, you kind of have like
the
kind of adrenaline rush.
It's
like jittery.
Yeah, it's like a
And as we you have this adrenaline rush like it should be with a good horror film. This is what I've lived like. You and I have both lived this genre our whole lives. Introduced that at a young age.
Yeah.
Not because of bad parenting, because we snuck away from our parents to watch it. But moving on, there is a scene too when they're on the plane. Remember that scene where the plane started shaking and it transitioned?
Mm-hmm.
Like was that just like a transition thing, like you said? Like this movie was very unique with transitions.
Yeah, it's almost like
like things are about to get fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a foreshadowing.
And like even like after that, it shows them, that shakes, and then it shows them in. I think they're in England. So they're somewhere. They're like driving, and they're on their way to like.
They were driving to Sweden.
Yeah, driving.
And what about the banner being upside down?
That's what I'm saying. Like it starts off.
That makes you think at first that this could be a satanic thing.
That's what I thought too. I was like, like all these transitions are so crazy.
It says that sign says housing land.
Yeah.
And
like
go on.
It shows like they like there's a whole scene like how far away are we, and you can see they're all together and they're all kind of like they can't wait to get there, and you see them in the car, and his next transition is like slowly goes down the road. The camera slowly turns pans upside down. I'm like, what the hell is this? Is this like?
I remember you whispering to me in the theater, being like, "Dude, this is like some sort of satanic thing."
Yeah,
or something.
because we didn't know. Because remember, Boris sent me the trailer, and I was like, "Hey man, Ari Aster's got another one coming out." I'm like, "Holy fuck, this looks so insane!" And we talked. We have bets because in the trailer it shows a scene.
6 months before this movie came out, we had bets on what was going to happen.
Because in the trailer it shows Danny. There's a scene like we'll get to this point, but when Danny looks through the keyhole. and you see like
Yeah.
they transitioned from that part, but like we all wondered they of course they kind of it was the scene actually is a little different. But when she looks at that thing and you see her go, oh, and she like backs up, like what the fuck's outside that door? What does she look at? What does she see? Like we were all. I was like, listen, man. I said, I bet you like this thing has like it's some kind of like portal to hell. That's what I was thinking. Like
which we'll get into this, but we were way off.
Yeah, way off. But, yeah,
we were way off.
It's something else's version of hell, I guess, if you think about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, okay. As moving on here, they get to they're hiking in the woods. They get to the festival, where they're introduced to. Before they get to the gates, though, they're kind of outside of the area. They're introduced to Ingmar, which is Pell's brother.
Yeah,
and he's acting like so. This is the vibe where I started getting. This is where I started getting kind of uneasy, unnerved feeling. They start tripping on mushrooms, quaaludes. Grass is growing in her hands. Ingmar is being introduced. All this is happening at once. You're introduced to characters Connie and Simon, who is a group from England.
Yeah.
And already Simon seems like, oh, fuck this. I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah,
We'll get into that later on about Simon's flip outs. But Ingmar is acting like, they're destined to be here.
Yeah.
Like this is... Danny has an attack, goes to use the restroom in the field, and she sees a flash of her sister with the hose in her mouth in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that right there had me like, oh my god, this movie's going to be so fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so they get to the gates, they get into the festival, they're introduced to, I believe the first person they're introduced to is Ulf.
Yeah.
Who is the one of the main guys, which you'll figure out that he hates Mark later on in the movie. You'll find out why.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a funny scene, but it's fucked up at the same time.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. You're introduced to Siv, who she's the woman that's wearing the red.
Yeah.
Siv is like their female leader. They kind of unwind, get settled down. One of the first messed up things I see starting out now once they're in the festival is the scissors under the baby's pillow.
Yeah.
Like, I read different things that could be like a nurturing thing or, This movie, though, a lot of the things that happen in here, which we'll get into more of this later on, is Viking-like.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's a tradition. It's like this, like they're,
yeah.
they live in this commune and they practice like a completely different traditions, and they have this thing where they do it every 90 years.
Every 90 years was we'll get into what the 90 years
was this whole thing, but they also have like this whole like they have this completely old way of living.
Correct.
They have like they're raising cattle, they have different things, but they do all this like Viking style things of how to like seances. Like there's a scene in the movie where they bury meat and they crack eggs into a thing and they throw some wheat. That was like to bless the ground for like having good crops and to have good livestock. That's like an old tradition, Viking tradition,
Right. Now there was another foreshadowing here, which we'll get into later on in this episode. Ingmar's talking to Connie and Simon, and Ingmar's like, "Oh, I dated Connie," and Simon kind of got like, "No, really?" Like that.
Yeah.
And Connie's like, "We just hung out," and Ingmar has this look on his face like, "Okay, I'll get you back somehow."
Yeah.
Made me feel uneasy when I was watching it.
Yeah. And then, just to go back real quick to that whole baby thing, I was really nervous about. I was like, because there's every time they have this giant house they all sleep in, and the guy he breaks
all
it down
these paintings.
He's like, it's always crazy like artwork, and he's like, listen, like he's like, listen, like it's all age. Like you live in this one house until you're 17. And then from...
It's 1836, 54, 72.
Yeah, that's...
By the winter solstice, fall solstice. It all goes by the seasons.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like told him... And in the house, though, which is weird to me, because the house they sleep in, I guess because maybe the parents are there, but like, I guess they have to bring the baby there. But that baby never stops crying. Every time they're in that house, that baby is crying. And I'm like, man, what's going on with this baby? And like, and they like that kind of, I was like, we would never really see anything with that. You find out what like this whole breeding thing they have going on,
which you'll find it. We'll
cover it. But it's just like but I was really nervous about that whole like what's going to happen with this whole baby,
Anyway, we get to a scene here where William Jackson Harper, who plays Josh, him and Christian are doing a thesis on this whole thing. This is an educational thing for them. They find out from Pell that there's gonna be an Ashtupa ritual. my God, this scene. But anyway, Florence Pugh's character, Danny, asks Josh, and he's wearing his shoes in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that scene. This is when shit really starts going crazy. She asks him, and you see this in the trailer, the stupa is this scary? And Josh kind of looks at her like he already knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So basically, they come out to this ritual. You have two old people where 72 is like the end of their lives in this whole thing. They go out to this stupa ritual, and this old man and this old lady, and I think this part was also trying to portray that this woman was like a Danny lookalike when she turns 72. Because when Danny looks up at this woman, basically they're climbing up to the top. They have this dinner.
Yeah.
And they take these drinks. And they're having this whole ritual for these people. They walk them up to the hill, up to the cliff.
Yeah.
And you see all these bloody hands.
Yeah.
All these different stained blood all over. All these different stains of blood. They're cutting their hands. They're putting it on this rune. The rune is what I based it off the Viking belief. Anyway, you have this whole scene where these two old people, and when Danny looks up at this lady, it's like almost like she resembles Danny later in life. And I don't know if you picked up on that or not, but I read a bunch of posts on Reddit from different users who are really into this film like you and I are, that, was saying, that was supposed to resemble Danny at a later part of her life.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. But you have this whole fucked up scene, man, where they're all, Josh, all these guys, Connie and Simon are out here, and they're at a stupa ritual is what it's called. They both jump.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, they do. But the whole point of this whole ritual was like they say like someone in the crowd is pregnant, so these babies are getting ready to be born. So once they decide that at 72 is the end of your life, you lived a fruitful life.
Right. It's
time for you to make room for the next generation to come in.
Correct.
So these babies are supposed to be. They try to time it for these babies to be born shortly after.
The whole thing's synchronized.
Yeah, it's
it's
and like you find out. Well, I'll get into this next part,
right.
But you see like they're all sitting there watching, and then like they have a whole ceremony. But you see through the crowd, they're panning through. Everyone's smiling because this is a big important thing to them. And of course, you have the Americans and the English people who have no idea what they're about to fucking see. Besides Josh, who he thinks is it could be legit? Is this really going to happen?
Yeah, when you see his face.
After. Yes, he's not. He thinks he knows what's going on, but he doesn't think that they're actually going to go through with it. But you see, also during this time, someone's holding this giant wooden hammer. And what the fuck's that for?
I'm wondering what the hell this mallet's for.
So the lady, she stands to the edge, and they're like, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my god!" And she is face belly flops all off this giant cliff.
The most goriest scene of the movie.
And you hear her hit, boom, and then you see it again, like a close up, a shot.
Her face.
And it is like, it's. I felt like they used like an actual cadaver because it looks so real. Like I've seen a lot, I've seen a lot of rubber and fake and different fake things to horror movies, but like that scene looks so real to me. And you see her face hit, and her face literally just explodes. You see chunks of skull.
Scanners.
Yeah, but so much more brutal. And it's like you see her hit, and then a moment later, he jumps, but he jumps feet down. And you just see his legs just snap. And
you hear this noise of bones breaking.
Yeah, just breaking. And you see him, and all of a sudden you realize he is like, oh, and he's still alive.
This is where the mallet comes into play.
Yep, and then here comes the mallet. And they come over, and they come down, boom, hit his head. And then that second person comes, they hand the hammer over, they hit his head. And but the second hit, the head just explodes. And they hit him about 2 or 3 more times. And it's like...
Yeah, and this whole scene is so fucking crazy.
Yeah,
and Simon and Connie flip out.
Yeah.
So Simon goes on his tantrum. Obviously, in the movie, you're thinking this fool's speaking out, telling him to shut up because these people are going to retaliate on him. But you don't know how you'd react in this situation.
Yeah.
But Simon and Connie are flipping out. Danny's just like in shock. And Christian just kind of has this look like, how do I console her?
Yeah.
After he forgets her fucking birthday and all that shit.
yeah.
But
he's the fucking worst character.
And they get back, they get back from this, and I think after this occurs, they're kind of like talking. Danny's like, "We gotta get out of here," type deal. This is when Connie wants the jet.
Yep.
You know, this is when and Siv's trying to calm everybody down. This is tradition. This is how everything goes. And Siv's always trying to be the sweet talker. I'll get in more of Siv later on. But this whole scene sets this up, and Danny has this dream. I think this is when Danny has that dream where they're all leaving her there.
Yeah.
And, Mark and all them's laughing at her as they're pulling away. Another sign of an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
Anyways, Connie, wants to leave, and they're telling her they can't find, or Simon already left. So meet Simon at the train station. This is when I'm starting to be like, okay, this is fucked. Mm-hmm. This is crazy because Simon disappears. This all happens. Then you get into, I believe, you get into the acts here where you're starting to notice that Pell's falling for Danny.
Yeah.
He's talking to her. When was the last time someone held you?
Yeah, he's talking about, Christians, like, does he hold you? Does he make you feel held? Does he make you feel, like, loved?
Exactly.
Does he make you feel whole or whatever?
Right.
And also during this whole point is Danny trying to leave, Connie and Simon are trying to leave, and then, of course, they have this whole lie where they think, you see, oh, where's Simon? And, during this whole time, where'd he go? Like, oh, he took a truck. We took him to a train station. There's not enough room for two people in it.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I could have sat on his lap.
And this is
I want to leave.
This is around the part, too, where Josh is seen in his bed with his shoes on. He sneaks out.
Oh, yeah. But before that, there's a whole scene where there's this whole record they keep of these books.
Yeah, the book, yeah.
And right after this, of course, when Danny's, she's having her panic attack, I have to leave here. And Simon and Connie are going through a turmoil about...
Josh and Christian are fighting over...
Yeah, well, I'm getting there. What happens is, they're talking about, they're all freaking out during this whole thing, when they want to leave, and they're all trying, and everyone else trying to explain to them why they do what they do. Josh and Christian, Josh he knows about this. But he takes the perfect opportunity. Listen, let me hear about this whole book. They have his journal, pretty much like his journal they fill out, and have his oracle. And so we get introduced to this character, Reuben. And Reuben, when you find out earlier, they have listen, how do you guys reproduce? How do you do this? How do you guys keep them going? Is there incest? And he said, yes, there's planned incest. They
call it keeping the blood pure.
Keeping the blood pure. And this person, this oracle, is they say, listen, his mind isn't clouded by, he doesn't understand. He's just morbidly, he has a very
grotesque face.
Grotesque face. And not to be but it's just years and years of this bloodline being reproduced on inbred over and over and over again. But he has this cloud of mind where they pretty much, they say he draws what they have to interpret it. Right. So they have all these books. Listen, we have we have stacks and stacks of all these books for centuries now. And then Josh said, listen, can I photograph it? And he's
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You cannot look at it. I'll show you. I'll explain to what it is. You can't use times, people's names, or dates, or anything like that, or locations. But I'll explain to you what it means. You can record that, but no pictures.
Mistake.
Yeah, big mistake. So, Josh goes back. He's going to, you can tell he's planning. He's going to go in there and try to find it. But during this time, while Danny's trying to say she wants to leave, Christian, who can really give two shits about Danny, and he's trying so hard.
He's getting hit on by the redhead.
He's getting hit on by the redhead during this time. Yeah, Maya. And then there's lots of different women constantly coming in hitting on Mark a little bit, hitting on him a little bit. But then there's a scene where you see Christian kind of walks in. Christian's not taking responsibility for anything in his whole fucking life. He's just kind of going by. He sees I think he's so not necessarily damaged. It's just he's such a bitch. He sucks as a character. But he goes in and tells Josh. Everyone knows Josh invited everyone on this trip. Yeah, but Josh is going there to write his thesis on this whole Midsommar type of thing, this whole commune that was Pell.
Yeah, we do have to get into something before Josh
goes
back.
Yeah, but anyway, so they have this whole thing there where it tells him, oh, I decided I'm going to do my thesis on this. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? oh, I didn't know you were doing this. He's like, everybody here knows I'm doing this. That's why we came here.
Right.
I invited you as my friend. And he goes, which is really funny to me because I feel like for the first time in your life, you actually have a fucking ball sack and stand up to me and actually do something like this. Like I'm actually kind of impressed. But this is so fucked up, man. That you're going to try to steal this from me, knowing that I came here for this. Find a different thing to write your thesis on. It's like, well, I'm doing this, and that's final. So go ahead. What were you gonna say about that?
Going about this whole situation. Then you have Ulf. You hear the man Ulf after the whole Ashtupa. They have an ancestral tree that they put the ashes of the dead on.
Yeah, they burn the bodies
And
after the.
Mark, like a fucking dumbass, takes a piss on the ancestral tree. Ulf is seen flipping out on him, and I just wanted to add that in before we go to when Josh goes to sneak into the
Yeah.
books.
So, yeah, you see, like, they have this whole thing where it's the next. He pisses on. He goes takes a piss. He's a fool. He's an idiot. He's like burnt out. He's just like in his goofy character or whatever. But there's a scene where like he said, like he goes and sneaks off and he pisses on his tree, and Ulf, whatever his name is, freaks the fuck out. He's like, "What's he freaking out for?" He's like, "Oh, you don't realize like this is our ancestors' ashes." He's like, "I didn't know that shit." So, he freaks out, and threatens him like he's going to kill him or whatever. Then he collapses and cries, and everyone consoles him. So later on, they go to this dinner, and then you see, like, of course, like Christians like talking to them, like, "Oh, let me look at this book when you have a chance. I want to see this book and learn more about this." And like, of course, stealing shit from Josh. And then the girl who kind of she's been giving the eye to Mark. She goes, "Hey, Mark, come with me," and then they disappear, and then no one sees Mark come back. So
This is Josh.
Yeah. So then later on that night, everyone's sleeping. Josh sneaks off. He's going to go photograph this book, which I told him ahead of time. Don't no one does this. It's sacred. Like he's already breaking his his barriers of like, listen, let's do this. Like don't do this. Show us respect. We're going. No one's allowed to do this, but I'm going to bring you in just to explain to you what it is.
Right.
Josh goes in. He's taking pictures. So you see someone behind him. He turns around. He thinks it's Mark, but it's not Mark. It's someone with Mark's.
It's Ulf with Mark's face.
With Mark's, he killed Mark and skins
And
Mark.
you actually see in the corner of the room Reuben sleeping.
Yeah, Reuben's watch this whole thing, and someone comes behind Josh, hits him over the head, hits him again, and he falls down to the ground dead. So, transition to this next scene, them waking up and everything. They think immediately. Listen, like we have a meeting. Someone took our book. The book is gone.
And I think during this is when you hear Connie screaming.
Yeah, and when they go to right before this whole thing, you hear said this time, Simon supposedly is gone. We know that Mark and we know that Josh are now dead, and we're assuming that Simon's dead too. And while they're coming through, hey, everyone come to whatever building it was. We need to talk. As they're going to each building, you hear each person stand there and hear, which you later on, you find out later, you hear Connie screaming. So now Connie's gone, but you don't know that until later on.
Right.
So they come to the thing and they listen like, someone stole the book. We were very upset about this, but we want someone to come clean. Of course, Christian, he is so fast to throw everyone out. I would let you guys know that I would never associate with me these people at all. They're not my friends. They're not like, he's a pussy throughout. Like,
right.
I don't know how he made it to get to this age in his life. He's just like a coward all the way through.
Right.
But go ahead and continue.
Anyway, going on, we get to the May Queen dance as this is coming on, and Maya's advances toward Christian are getting stronger. You kind of get this vibe. Christian has this talk with Civ, where Civ pulls him into her house, talks to him about what about Maya, and he's like, well, what about her?
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of starting to get this thing where it's like a sacrifice, like not a sacrifice, but like a virgin mating type of ritual.
Yeah.
Anyway, you get to the May Queen dance, and Christian's getting drinks served to him that we know is getting drugged.
Yeah.
You know that this May Queen dance, when it starts, is being set up for Danny to win.
Yeah.
So Danny wins the May Queen dance, and then Christian's fucked up out of his mind. You get to this dinner.
Yeah.
During the May Queen dance, I might add, you see Danny's sister in the trees.
Yeah, and she sinks it. Well, because they're both they drink this tea. They get served this tea.
Right.
And the one girl before, while they're waiting in line to go to start this dance, goes, "Oh, make sure you drink your tea out of the tall glass."
Yeah.
Which, like, did you tell that they're drugging her to get her to be anyway? So this May Queen dances. You have all the women in the village, and they invite people from outsiders. What she talked about, Christian found out earlier. Listen, like, well, we have to have outsiders come and volunteer for breeding. That's how we continue to procreate and do all this thing. And also during this time, we hear Pale talk about how he explained to Danny that I know what you're going through. I know you're having a hard time, but like my parents died too. My parents died in a fire. They died too. And like honestly, I didn't even pick up on it the first time I watched this movie, but I picked up on the second time. But you go fast forward to this dance. This dance, the celebration is they have. So you, in a nutshell, they have to bring in people from outside.
Correct.
To continue, because they can't have brothers and sisters constantly breeding or continue to have people like Reuben. So and then the whole commune will collapse. it's fucking be real here. So their whole thing is they bring these people in. They breed. They have like their virgin or whatever. So you find out at this time, they you think like they're feeding Christian the tea. There's no one else left besides Christian and Danny, and they have this May Queen dance where they have this thing where they dance around this thing where they play music. It's almost like musical chairs. And they have to constantly stop, then go reverse, and they're doing this thing like it's almost like this Irish jig where they're crossing arms and everything, and then whoever is left standing at the end who's not exhausted is the May Queen. And then, like Boris said, you can tell they set it up for her to win.
Now after this May Queen dance, this is the dinner that's being set up where Danny's invited to make meat with them.
Yeah.
This is kind of a gross scene here, where Maya.
Yeah. Well, you see early in this movie, a transition while they're what's his name? Not Pale, the other guy. Ingmar is showing Simon and Connie, giving them a little tour of the area, and they pass. It's like, well, we are going to ignore this giant bear in a cage.
Right.
There's this giant bear in a cage, which you see actually at the beginning of the movie, and also you see in a poster above Danny's bed at the beginning of the movie.
Yep. So
you have this giant bear in this thing. I have no idea what this is for. And then they go past, and there's this tapestry, and in this tapestry, it shows a man, a woman, or whatever, holding hands, and then it shows a scene where this girl is like cutting like a pubic hair, and she puts it into a pie, and then it shows her bleeding into a cup, showing her like her having her first period or her menstrual period starting, letting you know that she is able to breathe now. So then, and it goes down further. It shows a man drinking it, and then his eyes are kind of like they're circles, like almost like he's in a daze, and then it shows them both together. So that's what's going on place during this time. So they have this whole thing. She wins. They invite her into this house. They're going to make these meat pies, quote unquote. And when you know that, what's her face? Maya cuts off her pubes, puts it in there. And then you find out later on, and then during this time you have Christian. They bring Christian into this thing, and kind of sets up like, listen, like, hey, what do you think about Maya? Blah blah blah. Like you were talking about earlier. And she's just like, we do this whole thing. Like she decided she wanted to choose you for breeding. Like you to be the person. You're the one for her. So shortly after that, like they have this whole dance that's going on. While Danny's winning, they do see another lady. What's her face comes over and she gives Christian the other drink. And he's the kind of first like, I don't want to do it, and you can tell he is like seriously fucked up. Then they go to the dinner.
The old man.
Yeah, he smacks. He looks at the Christian looks at the old man and he goes, "Hey, can you help me?" And he smacks his face, and you see it like it's almost like he gets more out of it.
And doesn't the meal look like a human body?
Yeah, the meal is just like, I'm not sure if it's like a pig's head or something like that, but it looks like during this whole time, Danny and Christian are tripping on this special herbal tea.
But they're totally distanced from each other, which is a signal of their relationship starting to deteriorate.
Exactly, and of course, like here, and then you can tell though during this whole time when she's like too high, you feel like she's like having a hard time. But then you can see that she's actually enjoying herself. When they're
Right.
all like laughing and she's like, oh, like, I feel part of these people. Like I feel like, and Pell even tells her that, like you can be part of this family. If you win the May Queen, you are immediately part of our family forever.
Right.
And then they're having this whole ceremony or dance or whatever. And during this time, they come and take Christian. Hey, come with. We're gonna go here and we're gonna talk. And they take Christian away. And then you see like, oh, where's he going? Oh, he's doing his thing. You're doing your celebratory little tour of the lands. And they get into she gets into the little chariot, and they wheel away.
They go their separate ways.
So during this time, you can talk about it if you want to, but during this time, they show you finally find out what was in that keyhole.
Right. So during this scene, Christian is being brought into this small house. He's given this vapor, which is basically Viagra for them.
Yeah.
It's to help him keep his stamina. He's brought into this room where there's all kinds of bush.
Yeah.
And there's all these naked women. It's like a ceremonial sex party, pretty much. The most awkward part of this scene wasn't the sex. It was when the ladies comes up and starts singing, and she's pushing Christian's ass.
Yeah.
While
But if you what's her face? Like you have all these women in like a semicircle standing around, they're all
correct.
fully nude, and then you see him take off his robe and he's naked, and he walks over, and then
and at this point,
what's her face? What's her name? The redhead girl.
Maya.
I'm awful at names. You
Okay.
guys should pick up on this. But she is laying pretty much like kind of like spread eagle, waiting for him to come to her. In more ways than one.
Anyway, they get to this very sexualized sex scene. And it lasts for a good amount of time. Like, this was a strong sexual scene for a good amount of time. One thing about Ari Aster is the man is very detailed. Christian gets up, and she signals him to finish. He finishes his business. He runs out, and there's blood dripping from his penis.
Yeah.
Signaling that he broke
Her cherry.
her cherry. Which, trying to explain it the right way. But anyway, he's running. He runs into this room. He starts hiding. Knows something's fucked. He sees Simon's corpse.
But real quick though, I don't mean to cut you off, but during this time, while he's breeding, they're coming back. Danny is coming back from the chariot, and she's
I'm sorry.
what's in that building? Like, oh, it's not for you.
This is
like,
when the keyhole scene.
and this is like this is when she's like, no, I want to go, and she like walks away like, oh, don't go, don't look, it's not for you, and that's when she realizes. She walks in, you see what our whole gambling thing was about, like what's going on with this, like what's in this keyhole.
And it was
she looks-
not anything of what we expected.
Yeah, she sees there, and then she is like immediately goes to a panic attack.
Right.
And it was just another scene where you see, she's like she runs to like where they all sleep at, and all the women are following there, and you realize that early in the movie when someone shows pain or emotion, they
feel it.
They all feel it, and they all show it. So she drops to her knees. She's having this, she can't breathe, she's having a panic attack. All the women get down with her, and they're all screaming together, having this panic attack. Like, and during this whole thing, this is when you see Christian. He runs out. He realizes, I guess maybe Danny saw, or whatever it is, and maybe he's caught, and he runs out.
Right.
Like you were saying, bloody dingling, flapping in the wind, and he's running, and then he goes and runs and tries to hide in that shed. And they go ahead.
There where he finds, and here he finds Simon. We don't know if this is the drugs or if this is real. Well, Simon's in this ritual called the Blood Eagle, which the Vikings used to perform, where their lungs are protruding out of the body. The lungs are moving and breathing. You don't know if Simon's still alive, but he has sunflowers in his eyes, like petals in his eyes. And at this point, you know that pretty much. At this point, everybody's fucked at this point.
Yeah.
Because you know the fate of what's going to happen.
Yeah. So he panics, turns around, and then what's face is in his face, blows stuff in his
dust in his face, which is a paralyzing agent.
Yep. And then we transition to the end of this movie. So at this time, they have him. They lay him down on the ground or whatever. He's paralyzed. He can't move. And then they have this whole thing where they have Danny. She's crying, hyperventilating inside this room. All women are all doing it together. And then it shows the transition, them seeing them going out. and they're getting her in this gigantic like flower robe.
Right.
And this woman's talking to her. She's listening, like, you can't move. That's okay. You can't speak. You can't. You're almost like you're completely paralyzed. You know.
And they have this lottery.
And this lottery. Anyway, so they have this whole thing, and you see Christian is sitting in a wheelchair.
Right. Right. I just wanted to add that the girl who left Mark, her face is all fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know if there's like a struggle with Mark.
Yeah. I thought, I'm glad you said that, because I was so confused. I'm like, what happened to her? What happened to her face all this? Why's her face all busted up? Did something happen with Mark? Or like, did
maybe she tried to fight for him.
Or maybe something you don't know. Like, you don't really know if people like some people want to be there, or if they're trying to leave, they can't leave. So they have her. Danny's up on the thing. She has a giant flower robe on.
Right. And
they have this like this giant lottery, and they listen, like the guy's talking. They listen, like, we have every this is our Midsommar ritual, the 90-year thing where we have our sacrifices to grow, to continue our economy to grow. So we have 4 outsiders, which end up being the corpses of Josh, Simon, Connie, and Mark. Right. And then they said we're going to have plus 4 of our own, which they pull people out of the grave or whatever. And then they have so we also need to have volunteers. So Igmar, whatever his name is, he volunteers.
These guys are such fucking blind.
Yeah, it's almost like it's Jonestown vibe. Yes, we love to sacrifice ourselves for the greater good of
Jonas.
Yeah, Jonas. Yeah,
but as you're saying that, they're wheeling up the bodies.
Yeah.
What's left of Josh. Mark is wearing a jester cap with no face. Yeah. With all stuffing.
Mark is straight up a fucking scarecrow at this point. Right. He's like
and Connie, interesting about Connie, she's being wheeled up. You could tell she was drowned. I believe this scene was a deleted scene. She was drowned. Her skin's all pale. There's Polaroid pictures taken with her. Yeah. And that was real fucked up. I feel completely horrible for thinking this scene was funny. But as they're being put in this yellow temple, and you don't know what this temple's for, it's asked about being in the movie, now you're seeing what it's being used for. Here about me and you are about to conclude this episode. They're being Ingmar and the other man. I think it was Ulf, or was it? It wasn't Ulf. It was Ingmar, and it was.
I forget the guy's name. He was the guy in the lottery they chose.
Drink from the yew tree, you'll feel no pain.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, before that, they have a scene, like, they're doing the whole lottery. They're getting everything set up. They have the lottery they choose, so they have all the corpses of all the Americans and English people. Right. They're going in. They have They have the one volunteer. Then they have the other guy who is in the lottery. Who the main queen. They have literally a lottery machine that rolls, and they pull a number out, and they say it's this guy. And then they have their one main sacrifice, which is the seed. Once they get the seed from the outsider gets sacrificed, and he is like the king. He's like the main king, pretty much. But they put him, so there's this whole scene where they show that the bear is dead. And this is my only point in this movie where I was like kind of like a little disappointed in. Is the bear looks fake as fuck. I'm sorry. The bear looks fake as fuck. I'm like, how could you have so much detail in this whole movie?
Oh, when they're taking the intestines out and he's teaching
but the bear's just laying there on his back.
Yeah.
And they're like gutting out. Anyway, so here's a scene where like the guy's teaching the kids how to gut the bear and prep it, and they put fucking Christian's body inside this bear suit, and they sew him up inside it. And then this whole ceremony scene where they're all sitting there watching. So they tell Olaf, whatever the fuck his name is, Ingmar, and the other guy, the volunteer. Best gets the fucking snowman from Frozen. Burn his ass. Anyway, so there's this whole scene where they tell them, listen, like, we'll give you this stuff. They give it a shot, this little thing in his mouth, so you'll feel no pain. Your body's completely numb.
Bullshit.
Yeah, you'll learn that they're not numb at all. And that, scene. So they have all the Americans, all the English people, all set up decoratively, done through the thing. They have Christian in the middle in his giant bear suit. And then they have the two guys sacrificed. They're sitting at each other smiling. Like they're happy about this. Like, I can't believe we're going to be part of this. Then they come in with the torches. And you realize this is what Pal was talking about earlier, where his said, like, you find out later on this is his when he his parents were in the same thing.
Now, did this happen every 90 years, or was this every year?
I don't
Because
know.
there's some things that happen every 90 years. I believe that might have been the Stupa.
Mhm.
But then again, the Stupa can happen at any time when a person hits 72.
Yeah. So that's the thing that kind of threw me off too, was what happens here. But anyway,
Unless the May Queen was every 90 years.
yeah, that's inside to choose a May Queen. Anyway, so they have this thing where this movie has a beautiful music throughout.
Oh my god!
It's the score or whatever you want to call it.
Cloak song at the end.
Yeah. So this beautiful music's playing, and they're burning the temple. And you see everyone
screaming.
Well, you see all the bodies burning, and then the fire goes through. He can't move; he's paralyzed.
He's just sitting.
Christian,
there.
he's sitting there. You see Christian get engulfed in flames in the bear suit, and then you see it go back, and you see ignoring the guy. They're smiling, and then you realize they can feel everything. So like
that tree was bullshit.
Yeah. And then it shows everyone, like I said earlier in the movie, or earlier during this episode, that when someone shows pain, they all feel pain.
Yeah.
So they're all like freaking, shaking their hands.
Danny's just bawling her eyes out.
And she's sitting, and she can't really move, like she's still paralyzed too, but you can see her tears pouring out. And everyone around her is just like losing their shit, throwing their arms around. There is one woman behind her that I think broke character, because she looks like she's almost giggling a little bit. Everyone's like throwing their arms around. There's little kids just throwing their arms around, and people inside are all burning alive.
Right.
And then, while everything's almost kind of collapsing, and you see it kind of falling together, there's a zoom where they zoom in on Danny's face.
Oh, this was creepy.
And it is so, and you see her slowly smile, and then. A friend of ours was like, "Listen, I feel like she wants revenge." I'm like, "No, that was her straight up realizing
this is her life now."
No, it's not.
She has her new family.
Yeah, well, it's Christian's gone. Her whole she has this thing where she can't move forward because someone's constantly, even though she is really the one, she's the weight of this relationship. But really, in a nutshell, Christian is, because he won't let he is too much of a pussy to let her go. She needs to get away from him. She can't grow until she's away from him.
Well, I guess there's two different things you could take from. You could take either it's a new awakening for her, a new life.
Yeah, that's not kind of look at that.
The Christian's gone.
Yeah.
But my thing is too, and before we conclude this episode, I do want to go over some fan theories that I've been seeing online. My honest question to you, Rig, do you believe the cult had something to do with Danny's parents dying, or do you think that's too far-fetched?
That's too far-fetched.
I agree with you. I respect fans' theories, though. I'm not saying that, it's dumb for you to think that way. It's just there's a lot of theories out there that, will there be a sequel to this? I personally don't think there needs to be a sequel to this film.
No.
Because if you do, you run the risk of oversaturizing.
Yeah, how would they even do that? Just to have the next
prequel,
class?
Probably a prequel.
Yeah, I guess the shit.
I'm not a fan of prequels.
No.
But is there anything else?
No, I mean, I remember though.
Well, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts is
final thoughts.
This movie, like Hereditary, had this brutal loss in it. Where it just hits you. Instead of Hereditary, slowly got to the point where this movie it hits you hard right at the beginning, and then by the end of this movie, I literally, when they're all burning inside the thing, he's in the bear suit, and they're all burning, and that music's playing, I literally laughed out loud because I was so uncomfortable. I was like, "What the fuck am I watching?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Holy shit!" This movie went way past anything I feel like I've ever seen before.
Right.
And I'm like, and Ari Aster, he is just
phenomenal, man.
He brings shit to a whole new level. He hits that horror thing. He throws some little bit of comedy in there sometimes, makes you laugh, and then brings it immediately back to this horrific shit. So, inclusion in my thoughts is that it's a fantastic film. And the second time I watched it, I understood a little bit more.
Right.
And the ending scene wasn't like first time I saw that shit, man. My mind was completely blown.
Right.
And he does that in every movie so far. He's blown my mind.
Right.
The second time watching it through, I'm like, whoa, like, it's actually like a really beautiful scene at the
Right,
end. It's
right.
horrific,
It's
but
beautiful as shit with the music and the scenery. My final thoughts from Uncle Boris. My final thoughts is I thought this was a phenomenal film, and Ari Aster has the makings of being one of the horror movie's greatest if he keeps this up.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see his next installment, to be honest with you, to see what he's coming out and what's next, and I'll be sure to send you the trailer as soon as I see it.
Yeah,
But,
he's killing it. So is A24.
Right, A24 is a great film company. This company, I've watched every A24 film I've watched has been good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, they're becoming like the New Line Cinema, pretty much. Like, a kind of indie, but not so indie movie company.
Yeah.
Like, but anyway, my final thought was this was a phenomenal film, and I can't wait to see what this director comes out with next.
That's pretty much it, guys. I'm Ricky Mortis.
And I'm Boris Lagosa.
This has been a great episode, guys, and hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon. All right, we'll see you later.